And we are live. What's up, fight fans? Philip Carl Roberts, Counterpunch to you, brother. It is early, but it is late at the same damn time. We have to talk. Vasili Lomachenko, Luke Campbell. We got to talk, guys. We have to talk about this. Patrick Carey, Counterpunch to you. Yes, it is time. It's counterpunching time. That's what it's time for. Come one, come all. I'll let the chat load. Had to get out some videos first, so I had to upload them. Make sure they got out before getting those out. Coach Quartar, Counterpunch to you, brother. Patrick Carey, Mike Buffer only coming out for the main event. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Guys, where are we at in this crazy world? Let's do some counterpunching. Fabian Cameron, Counterpunch to you from the UK. Like I said, going live. It is 1:40 a.m. here. Salah Farah, Counterpunch to you. Mala 2243, checked out your movie resume. Very impressive. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for the support. Chris Serrano, Counterpunch to you, brother. Huey should change trainers. Yeah, he should. He should teach him to do other things, because the undercard, we're going to talk about all that today in this live stream. Always with Buffer Dynamite making the sandwiches. Yep, King Charles from London, England, the UK. Counterpunch to you. Like Naomi, like, good morning to you. I know I butchered the name, but man, we got to talk, bro. This fight was a very good fight. Lomachenko showed that he showed adversity, and it was good. It showed that he had to work a little bit. You know what I mean? He had to work to get in the inside, you know? And he did what he needed to do. Live from the Middle East, Counterpunch to you. But I mean, that the sheer difference was the height and that reach. And Loma is it's like he thinks off the fly, but that's due to the training. That is due to training. So it's one of those situations where he knew he didn't have the height advantage or the reach advantage. So he started stepping to the side to make that particular adjustment. So he's jabbed. And then you could notice by the fourth and fifth round, he was already jumping in with his own jab. So what it was one of those things where I think he didn't anticipate that much of a reach difference. So what he did was he came in, he came out. So he made sure that he was out of range. That's why he was hopping in and hopping out. You know, he was doing his thing in there, you know, but Luke Campbell showed a high IQ pedigree also. So you got to give it to him. So as you know, you're going to hear a lot of people talking now. I've already heard the counterpunching. I've heard the hate. I've heard the hate. And it's like, oh man, Tank Davis will beat Lomachenko right now. It's a good chance he'll beat Lomachenko. Look, this is boxing. Anything can happen in the sport of boxing, okay? So it's one of those situations where if anything can happen in the sport of boxing, American Patriot 1776, salute to you, brother, Counterpunch to you. If Tank Davis has that type of power and can hit Loma with the same shots that Luke was able to hit him with, especially those temple punches, you know, those Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz punches, he might be able to do something with him. He might be able to hurt Lomachenko to get him out of there, you know. But I haven't seen Lomachenko to be hurt like that in a fight. I've seen him get busted in the balls. Britney Spears, Proto Man, 1, 2, 3, 4, how's it goes? Fat boy. But let's see. Yep, everything's going great. Davis would load up, though Campbell was just trying to touch Loma. Yeah, Patrick Carney. That's what I'm saying. If he was able to catch him with those punches. If he was able to catch him with those punches. Because I've seen Davis. Davis kind of does a Mike Tyson. He kind of dips to the side and throws and gets shots off. But it's like, could he be able to hit Loma with those punches? You know, that's just like a lot of people talk about how strong a fighter is when they were fighting Mayweather, right? Look at Sugar Shane Mosley, Floyd Mayweather. Mosley hurt Mayweather, hurt him bad, had him staggered, had him smiling even, right? Roy Duffy, counterpunch to you, brother. And he made the adjustments, right? And why didn't Mosley be able to hit him with that punch again? Give you one better. Look at Leonidas. Leonidas caught him with that straight right hand, right? Put him on the seat of his ass, Lomachenko. Why wasn't he able to do that again? Because Loma knew he had to suffer that knockdown to make that adjustment. Okay? So the elite fighters know, okay, you got me with that punch, but you know what? Can you do it again? Can lightning strike twice and do that again? That's what you ask yourself. And this particular fight was brilliant. It was a brilliant fight. It was very, very exciting. A lot of people thought that Loma fell off. Look, you have 2 gold Olympians in there. And like I tell people, it's not about trading punches, going blow to blow with punches. It's not about that at all. It's really about the technical side of it, right? So it's one of them things where, oh man, the fight was boring, or they didn't throw enough punches and Loma couldn't get in the inside, because he had a skilled fighter using the jab, using his reach, using his height to keep him out there. So he was doing his best to do what he's supposed to do to keep Loma from going in the inside and throwing those fucking liver shots like he eventually started landing. And I'm impressed with Luke from getting up in the 11th round. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm really getting ahead of myself. But Luke Campbell showed that he was determined to win this fight. And I heard wear and tear from his trainer, and he said he had wear and tear, but I just think it was the style that gave him problems. A style like that, you're not going to knock out everybody. He made 4 guys quit back to back, right? Knocked out the last 9 out of his 11, something like that. The last 9 opponents, or last 10. So it's one of those things where you have to respect the craft. You really have to respect the craft. ABS number 1, it's all good, brother. That's what's good. The Lomachenko versus Campbell fight was good. It was a technical fight. Loma stepped on the gas. He had to get in the inside. He did take some shots though. I feel Luke Campbell should have really tried to set up more uppercuts, since he knew Loma was coming in, not necessarily up the center lane, but no, he wasn't on the center line, but he was coming in from each direction. And Luke Campbell has he has his own speed. I think he should have set up an uppercut, especially from a shorter Lomachenko. That's what I thought he would do. He did land some pretty good uppercuts. He landed a few in that fight, but he didn't, he really didn't implement that as a primary form of attack, It looked like Campbell did get Lomachenko's attention with a body shot or two. Yeah, he did. And I seen that, Philip. I really seen that. And I thought that, like, wow, you know. And that's a good strategy because Loma is not a hard puncher when it comes to like knockout punches. But if you can land the perfect or the correct body punch, the liver shot like he's known for now, you need to call that the Chenko shot. You know what I'm saying? Because the way he's landing that shot, he knows exactly where to punch to hit you and to get you down. Because it does something crazy to your liver. If you ever been hit there, okay? If you ever been hit to the right side of your body right in that area, you're going down. You know? Because that organ does not supposed to be punched. It's supposed to filter shit out of your body and help you and aid your kidneys. Okay? It doesn't supposed to be taking punches. And Lomachenko knew that. So it was clever from Team Campbell that they start also throwing body punches. Because one thing we all know, or you should know about a body punchers don't like to get hit in the body either, right? That's why I wonder why Golovkin didn't go to the body on Canelo. You know what I mean? But he did with every other fucking fighter. It's crazy. But anyhow, Nakatani. Yeah, that would be a good fight. Luke Campbell. Yeah. Nakatani. That would be a very good fight. Very good. Yep. Loma would see him loading up all day. He would, because I think Tank would start getting schooled. He'll beat Tank Davis, man. Unless something happens to Loma, he gets knocked out unexpectedly or something like that. And even if he doesn't, it's not to someone like Davis. He'll pull a Manny Pacquiao. He'll learn what he needs to learn, and he'll come back and improve. Worrying to think that he can keep going up in weight. I smell pads. Adam, I don't know about that. Because one thing we know about Lomachenko is that he doesn't want to go up in weight. He said that he's going to top off at 135. And I think the Leonidas fight gave him that wake-up call. Ishmael, Loma was definitely stunned last night. Davis can 100% hurt. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If Davis can hit him and implement his power, he can catch Loma and get him out of there, because he would have to. That's the only way I see Tank Davis winning is by knockout, fighting Loma. I'm sorry, like, he is not that. He's a good fighter, but he's a good young fighter. He hasn't been there. And what's sad about the Mayweather camp with his promotional company is they're getting him to fight these smaller dudes that are less experienced. And if they are experienced, it's like some old Errol Spence, Mikey Garcia shit. This guy has fought like 3 former featherweight fighters. And all of them went up to 130 to fight him, right? So he's like this big dude beating up these little people. Whereas Loma was there, he didn't want no more Loma. He didn't want any of Loma. He was doing what he was told to do. And Floyd didn't want that fight. But then Floyd did mention that fight, I guess, when he got pissed at him, right? So, but I don't think it's Peds on Lomachenko. I don't think he'll go up from 135, even though I feel he should. And we'll talk about that. We'll definitely talk about that. Okay, Steve McGraw. Loma versus Tank is a good fight. For anyone to say Tank destroys Loma is nonsense. Yeah, it's just stupid. And you know what it is? It's perception, Steve. It's perception. Because so many people have seen Tank Davis go in there and destroy these little fucking fighters. He goes in there and he clobbers them, right? They get hit with that hard power that they have never seen. And let me tell you something about Tank Davis. There's a reason his name is Tank, okay? Because the dude's short, he's stocky. When he's out of the camp, he's fat. He looks like a fucking Cabbage Patch Kid. You know what I mean? So he might be a fucking weight bully for all we know. But he's a big dude and he can punch. And he punches a lot heavier than a 130 pounder. If anybody should move up, it should be Tank Davis. You know, I would love to see Tank Davis and Lopez. Let those motherfuckers fight. I don't care if it's at 135, 140. That should be the next super fight. You know what I mean? Take nothing away from Farmer or anything like that, but I think that fight's pushed too much because of the weight class. But I think Tank Davis shouldn't start moving up in weight if he wants to be anything like Floyd. But these guys don't have their own original ambition. They want to copycat the next guy. That's the problem. So while Tank Davis is busy following fucking Floyd, you know, trying to emulate Floyd or obey Floyd, he should be trying to make his own way, like Gary Russell Jr. But anyway, that's another story. Adam, I think fighters who face Loma give him far too much respect and stay away from him the first few rounds because of the height. A good puncher would do damage. Yes, Adam, a good puncher would do damage. And one thing that people should extract from the Orlando Salido fight is that Salido fought the guy. That's how you beat someone technical. You fight a boxer. He's a guy, he's a mastermind. He's like the Matrix. You fight that motherfucker. And he went below the belt too, so he had to cheat. But, not saying he had to cheat, but he did cheat. But the strategy was on point. You work the body, you give him no space to think, okay? He can still do, because look what he was able to still do in Salido, because he almost got Salido out of there in the 12th round, people. And this is Loma's first loss, mind you. He lost that fight. And yeah, so Adam, yeah, I definitely agree. These guys should stop giving him all that respect. They should start fighting him. Stop trying to box him. That's stupid. You know, it's like trying to box Floyd. If Maidana tried to box Floyd, what kind of fight would that be? You surely wouldn't see a part two. You surely would not see a part two. You know what I mean? Why is Eddie Hearn involved with all the bid fights across promotional companies and he doesn't care if his fighters lose belts and yet still make the biggest cash? Well, because they're making the best fights. Mr. or Mrs. Monday. He's making the best fights. That was a sold out crowd at the O2 Arena. Bob Arum needed that shit. Then his fighter won. So, you know, he has like two of the best fighters in the world, you know. But Eddie Hearn doesn't care because he's getting the fights for his fighters. It's up to them. It's what they do in the ring. But they get the fights and they get the money, so they get the opportunity along with the cash. You know what I mean? They get the cash and flash. So that's why he does that, you know? And you look at Eddie. Eddie's lost a gang of fights, and then with a gang of fighters. Rocky Fielding, lost with Rocky Fielding, lost with Danny Jacobs, lost yesterday with Campbell, lost with Joshua, right? But these motherfuckers are getting paid. But these are fights that people are wanting to see. We wanted to see Campbell and Lomachenko, right? Sabello D enjoyed this fight. Yeah, it was a great fight, brother. Great fight. Keep it 100 MH 1986. Salute from the UK. Salute back to you. Counterpunch to you. What about Charles Edwards getting smashed? He wouldn't have taken the rematch. He knows he got his number. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that, definitely. That's Eddie's job. Fighters want to test themselves against the best, regardless if the favorite would do. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You know, he's giving these guys opportunity. You're exactly right, Steve. You know what I mean? Steve is not like Al Heyman. If it was like Al Heyman, we would have saw a bullshit fight tonight. We'd have saw Luke Campbell versus some other fucking person that we never heard of, just to make it seem like perception, to make it appear like Campbell is just so good, Campbell is great, then they'll start spinning all these narratives like, oh man, Campbell's just a new thing since Lomachenko, but yet he won't fight Lomachenko, right? That would be some shit that would happen if Luke Campbell was a part of the PBC. They're trying to make Luke Campbell like this guy, oh man, he could solve the Matrix. He could solve the Matrix, but the fight can never be made. Right? But no, Eddie, he pushes his fighters. He actually tests his fighters. So Steve McGraw is absolutely correct. Great counterpunch. Yeah, it's a bellow D. I mean, that's what he does. He's the Matrix. He's Mr. Anderson. You know what I mean? Campbell did well. He did do well. Morning from Wales. Surprised that Loma didn't dominate the amount. I'm not either. I'm not surprised. Acid Fire. I'm not. Because that's what happens. You're not going to walk through a fucking gold Olympia champion, especially with a long reach like that, that's using his jab, that's keeping you back, that's doing and actually trying to do his job. You're not going to do that. So no, Loma's not going to be able to do that shit he did with all those other fighters. Because styles, those other fighters' styles weren't like that. They weren't keeping him back on the jab. They weren't doing those type things, okay, that Campbell was doing. Using the ring, circling, jabbing, countering when he could, and he did. Okay, so no, it doesn't, every fight is not supposed to look easy. In fact, the bigger name fights that are, you have two technical guys could be the most boringest fight you could ever see. Those motherfuckers look flat. Okay? They look flat. You're saying Eddie doesn't protect fighters through the career. No, he doesn't. Loma beats Tank easy. I think Farmer will probably outbox Tank. That could happen. And then I think that's the only thing Farmer could do is outbox him. So he has to be ready to box for 12 rounds. Lenard's did wake him up. These dudes at 135 look huge compared to him. Yeah, look, Lomachenko's a short dude. You can see how he is, but he's still able to compete. You know? Lions in the camp. Throw Davis in the Lions. To the Lions, yep. But they won't do it. But, I mean, maybe Floyd saw something in Loma tonight. Maybe he saw that something that Tank Davis could exploit that might give him the idea to make that fight. But then here's the thing. With the PBC and Mayweather and Al Heyman and all these guys, they don't want to take a risk like that with Tank Davis right now because they know if he fights Loma and Loma beats him, who the fuck is Tank Davis anymore? He's nobody. He's a guy that was really hyped. He was a guy that got silenced and got beat. And then what are they going to do with him, right? But if he can maintain the undefeated status, you can build him up to be whatever based on the fact that he never lost, just like Floyd Mayweather. There, I said it. That's what they want. So to throw him in there with Lomachenko, no. The only way they're going to throw him here with Lomachenko is they have a good idea that they're going to win, and the shit's too good to be true. Perception is reality. Reality is not perception. And my rich boyfriend from LA would tell me. I hear you. Salah Farah, a pure boxer will always beat a pure puncher. Davis is no chance versus Loma. It will be like Trinidad versus Winky Wright. Ooh. Yep. I can definitely see that like that, Salah. Just like that. He'd just get beat up trying to punch forward, not landing, and not successful. Kurt, he's fat. When he's out of camp, he's like a Cabbage Patch doll. Krill is, I mean, that's what he looks like. If you've seen Tank Davis, he looks like a fucking Cabbage Patch doll. His face gets all wide and shit. He already got a football head. You know what I mean? And he starts eating and shit. I know he eating Philly cheesesteaks and shit. You know, all bad and eating Cheetos, flaming hot Cheetos, hanging around Adrian Broner and shit. you know, putting Zatarans on flaming hot Cheetos. Who does that shit? Low dog. He walk around 160 pounds. I believe that. Tank Davis should be at a 147 pounds. He'll be like, because he's like the height of Sweet Pea Whitaker. Fuck, Sweet Pea was there though. Hell, Tank got the power. You know? But I think they're just trying to keep Tank Davis there because they need someone that's dominant in that particular weight class to keep him away from the people. Like, you couldn't put Tank Davis at welterweight now. That'll fuck up whatever they got going at welterweight. It's a monopoly there at welterweight division. You know, they're avoiding names and avoiding champs just not to fight people. But they, you know, obviously they're doing it and it's working. So, his name is Tank. He's a fat boy, a hoss, a husky Howard. As we say, built like Fred Flintstone, or who they based Fred Flintstone off of, the talent and the great Rocky Marciano. The guy can punch. But I'm for anyone testing themselves, especially someone as young as Tank Davis. Said he wants to become a unified champion at 135, then we'll go down to 130. I think that's a bad idea. You know what I mean? I don't think that's a good idea. I think he should keep going. Hearn can get his fighters great opportunities. His fighters tend to want the opportunity. Yeah, well, Philip, check this out. Eddie Hearn's fighters, they speak for themselves. They think for themselves. That's how a real promoter works, not an advisor that actually does everything for you. He tells you when to walk, how to talk, how to do this, how to do that, who to fight. And all this, he's not even a fucking promoter. He's not a promoter because he's all of the above. He's a manager, he's a promoter, he's all of that. They just label him advisor. It's a loophole. So yeah, they tend to have their own mind because they can do what they want to do, unlike the PBC. That's why they're like, what did Al Heyman say? What did he say? He said I'll fight Keith Thurman, then Porter, then Pacquiao. What does he got to do with your career? You can't call the shots? Obviously not. Because he had to go to another guy to ask, hey man, who am I fighting next? You better not say, man, can it be Terrence Crawford? Time out. You ain't gonna fight for a year. Don't ask questions like that. Go to go to the Heyman house. Oh man, that'd be crazy. He actually had a fucking like a timeout and shit called the Heyman house. Not the dog house, the Heyman house. Go to the Heyman house. Don't ask me questions that fuck with business. Cold Scroll Island 2017. Top of the morning to you, brother. Hybrid 95, yeah. And Bob Arum's definitely trying to make that fight. And it's crazy he's trying to make that fight now. You know? And remember, this fight was being talked about, about a year and a half ago? You know? And it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy because you got two guys, they've won. Manny Pacquiao's on top of the world because he beat an undefeated Keith Thurman, right? In another spectacular fight. You know? And now Bob wants to make that fight, you know? So he wants him to come down to like 138. And he wants Loma to come up 3 pounds. That's got bullshit written all over it, right? And it's just crazy. It is crazy. It is crazy as shit. Campbell versus Wallen Jr. Yeah, that's crazy, man. G. Garman, yes, Kurt, big up to the UK. Loma unified 3 divisions. Yes, he did. You know, and actually, the things he's doing by unifying his division, that's what gets him talked for being like above Terrence Crawford. You know what I mean? Because Terrence Crawford has actually done this shit, then moved to the next weight class. You know? Styles makes fights. Kung Skull Island, great counterpunch. Slum Brothers Media. Loma the truth. Yeah, it is the truth. Throw him to Earl Spence. Damn. Lomachenko versus Earl Spence. Southpaw versus Southpaw. Crazy. You know what? You know something? I'm going to say this about Loma. This is what I'm going to say about Loma. You know. Loma, he started at featherweight, right? Manny Pacquiao did that. Well, Manny Pacquiao started fucking smaller than that. But Floyd did that. Then Floyd went to 130, then 135. And it took him years to get to 147. Now, he did make it there though. You know? So, it's crazy because if Loma should be that guy, he should have that mentality to like, look, even if he loses to bigger guys, nobody will get pissed. Nobody's mad at Mikey Garcia, right? No one's mad at him for taking that challenge to 147, right? So if I'm Loma at this point in my career, why am I going down to 130? Why the fuck am I doing that? I'm not, he's already done that. He's been there, he's done that, he's conquered that. The people ducked him. Everybody knows Tank, Floyd, that was a duck. They straight avoided that fight like the plague, you know? And it's crazy. It's like, but you want to go back down there chasing a fight like that. Why are you trying to do that? That I don't understand. It's a such thing is stop trying to chase people that don't want to fight you and go after the fighters that can. And what we know about fighters that can or that will fight you is they'll take on, like look at Earl Spence. He was glad to fucking fight Mikey Garcia, wouldn't he? Right? So if people know that, oh, Lomachenko's going up to 140, even 140 could be like, hey, that's great. You know what I mean? But look at Floyd. His offense, his defense, his ring IQ, he was able to still put a whooping on these guys at 135, 140, 147. No, he didn't knock them all out. It's not about that. It's about winning. I think Loma can beat these guys, you know, but then again, he has to believe that. But people talk about, well, you know, Loma being the best pound for pound now, you know, and it's like, I'm looking at it like, well, he didn't do what these guys have done back in the day. You know what I'm saying? People may not agree with me, but I thought Broner would have beaten Pacquiao if he just fought and boxed him. Broner is talented, but he had a horrible style. Yeah, Broner, he's quick enough to counter like Floyd did, but Broner's crap, dude. Ever since the Maidana fight, he kind of does that like Danny Jacobs shit at times. If you're attacking him, he's kind of like a deer in the headlights and he doesn't really know what to do or to defend. He's kind of frozen at a point. Like when Manny got Broner on the ropes and started nailing his ass and willing on him, what happened? Even his coach was like, what the fuck happened? You know, Manny was teeing off on him and Broner had no answer. He didn't have no answer for that. You know what I mean? Shout from Scotland. Morgan Brownlie. Counterpunch to you. Would destroy Mayweather. Bay Area boxing. I don't know. I don't know, I mean, in the fight, we was just dipping and dodging and baby hits. He wanted to beat him by points, and it was stupid for Bronner if he would have fought him. He would have won, in my view. Well, he just should have fought. Double E. The topic of the chat is Lomachenko versus Campbell. Where these guys should go from here. What happened in the fight? What's to come for both guys? About fighting Pacquiao, his post presser, and Loma's manager was pissed. Patrick Carey, I didn't catch that. I was busy at that time. So, Michael Asmoni. What's up, Kurt? Don't you find it strange how Richard Comey gets talked about by Tim Bradley as if he can't hold his own against Loma? Comey stops Campbell and drops Loma at least twice. Michael, let me tell you something. I haven't really detected it from Andre Ward, but I have detected the favoritism from Timothy Bradley. See, here's the problem with commentators. You can't say that the commentators, like at the PBC, you can't say that they're biased when you're doing the same shit. All you're doing is supporting your fighters at your platform. You got to call it like you see it. You know what I mean? And I noticed that. I noticed that he will say, like he's blasting Errol Spence now, and he should be. But my thing is, being a boxing analyst, how do we know that the only reason you're doing that is because you work for ESPN and Top Rank, right? We don't know what the true origin of you bashing Errol Spence. Yes, I do agree with Timothy Bradley. Yeah, I think Errol Spence is ducking. You know what I mean? And I think really his team is avoiding that fight for a lot of bullshit reasons, political reasons, right? So it's one of those things where you got a guy that works for Top Rank. That's like Lennox Lewis. Perfect example. Lennox Lewis, he's a commentator for the PBC, right? Okay. So he's a commentator for the PBC, but all he does is talk shit about about Anthony Joshua, right? But if you noticed, he slacked off Tyson Fury. So you're like, wait a minute, why don't you talk shit about Tyson Fury anymore? Oh, that's right. You know what I mean? You don't envy him like that. But then he's for the PBC, but then Tyson Fury has an upcoming fight with Deontay Wilder. So it would make sense for him to talk shit about Tyson Fury. You see what I'm saying? So that's how I see that. So, but I see that a little bit in Timothy Bradley, So yeah, that is very strange. Lomachenko is too small to be challenging welterweights, in my opinion. But if he becomes undisputed and wants to challenge himself, then you certainly can't be mad at it. Hybrid 95. No, you can't. You cannot be mad at it. And at the end of the day, he tried. And here's the thing. Now you can argue, well, Mikey Garcia, at least he was willing to go to 147, whereas Loma's not trying to do it. He's not comfortable enough in his ability to go up there to make a fight like that happen with someone like Errol Spence. Let's say this, someone like Danny Garcia. Imagine Vasili Lomachenko versus Danny Garcia. You know what I mean? You need a show with the co-host like Max. This has got to be the best boxing show on YouTube platforms, hands down. Shum Brothers Media. Thank you, brother, for your support. J.E., love the challenger mindset. Yes. Look, if Floyd could do it, Loma can do it. If Manny can do it, Loma can do it. Bottom line, if they can do those things being that fucking small, there's no excuse why Loma couldn't do that. At least try. You don't go to 137 and then get rattled up a bit because you got punched and got caught, right? And then stop. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get that. You know, this is boxing. Yes, the punches are going to hurt. They're going to land harder. The fighters are bigger. So the risk is higher, but the reward is also higher. And you imagine Loma tapping out at 147? Let's look at it this way. What is Loma's walking around weight? What do you think that is? 140, 145, right? Muck PvP, counterpunch to you, brother. Campbell in a different era would be a champ. Unluckily, but this is about levels. It is about levels, G. Gorman. But guess what? He was a champ. He was a champion. You know what I mean? He was a champion. Suleiman, 3 a.m. in Toronto, counterpunched. Counterpunch to you, Suli. Philip Carl Roberts, Timothy Bradley was trying to say that Huey Fury was ahead against Povetkin in the last minute or two. What fight was he watching? Philip, that's what I'm saying. It's about the commentation. That's why when you're watching a fight, right, they tell you to turn down the television and to watch it without the fans, the crowd, the commentators. Watch it for what it is. You see what I'm saying? Then you will get a better understanding on who won. Loma doesn't have enough rounds, though. Well, hey, I think maybe that's why he wanted a 12-round fight. I think he could have got him out there in the 11th round. You know, that could all have been a mind thing. That could have made him think, well, you know, let me carry him. He's made it this far. Errol Spence walks around down there at the weight of a heavyweight. Yeah, he does, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? As long as he can make the weight at 147, there's really nothing you can do. Now, what you could do, like they did with Daniel Jacobs, they could have a rematch, like a rehydration clause to stop that shit. So he can't balloon up to like Gotti did with Gamache. You know what I mean? Fucking Gotti, they waited at 140. He ballooned up to 160 and knocked Gamache out violently. Violently. You know what I mean? It was crazy. Kong Skull Island 2017. Why does Bruce Vane hate both Wilder and Spence so much? Well, I don't know. I don't think it's really like intentional hate. I think it's more frustration because these guys are being governed by the same guy. So it's really about the system, and these guys are just pawns of that system. They're examples of how a corrupt or shitty system runs fighters in fighters' career, and we got to put up with bullshit fights. You know, fights we really don't want to see. You know what I mean? He could have made the Terrence Crawford fight before the Sean Porter fight. You know, but of course, Al Heyman already orchestrated these particular fights. So that's what he's going to fight. That's who he's going to fight. Whoever Al Heyman tells him to fight, right? So until then, that's how it's going to be. That's what I think Bruce Vane is referring to, because these guys are being controlled and they have no voice of their own. And you can say, hey, they're controlled, but at the end of the day, they can always have their own voice and say, this is what I want. You know what I mean? After seeing Loma yesterday, to be real, Tank gonna hurt him bad in 5 rounds max. I don't know, Danny. I don't know about that. You know, I have no idea about that. LaRon 9817. What's up, Kurt? Looks like a quick-footed left-hander gives Loma a little trouble. Well, Guerrero Rigondeaux didn't. So, and he toyed with him, right? So I don't know. But it is interesting. I think he's so accustomed to fighting orthodox fighters to the point where now he gets in there with a skilled southpaw. He has a challenge. But I think it was more like the height and the ring IQ. Because again, people, this was a gold Olympian that he was fighting. He wasn't fighting a nobody. He was fighting a guy that knew and studied Loma. You got to know what you're up to. You know what I mean? You got to know what you're up to. So it is what it is. Earl Spence walks around. Loma don't have rounds, though. Real boxers want to test themselves. PBC fighters just don't want a loss on the record. That's it. Because PBC is built. It's built by the son of Haman, right? The son of Haman is like Jesus Christ, the God, right? So you got Al Haman, he's God, right? You have Floyd Mayweather, he's the son, that's Jesus Christ. And everyone's trying to be like those guys. If you're not like Al Haman and you're not like Floyd Mayweather, that's how you're going to be. That's the philosophy of the PBC. They don't want a loss because they think if I lose, I won't be marketable. So if I'm not marketable, I can't sell fights. I won't make any money. I can't be like Floyd with a loss. Oh my God, right? I can't do that. So that's what they do. So that's what it is. Tony Delgado, greetings to you. Greetings back to you, brother. Counterpunch to you. Kong Skull Island. Dream fight would be Duran versus Loma. No. The fight would be Lomachenko at 135 versus Sugar Shane Mosley at 135. Think about that. 135, a Sugar Shane Mosley, which was probably the best lightweight ever in my opinion. My opinion, guys. But I have not seen anyone that dynamic, that quick, that fast, that ferocious. Because see, Sugar Shane will give Loma problems because Sugar Shane throws so many punches and he's so fast. And he leads with the right, especially. He leads with the right anyway. So strong, tough, right? He was able to go to 147 and beat Oscar De La Hoya. He skipped right over 140, right? That's the guy I want to see fight Loma. Either that or Loma at 130 or Floyd Mayweather Jr., Pretty Boy at 130. Those are the two fights I want to see. Duran, he was good at lightweight, but what did he do when he went up? He didn't really make a splash then. The only person he beat was who? Sugar Ray Leonard. You know what I mean? Everyone else beat him. Hagler beat him. He quit on the next fight with Sugar Ray Leonard. And let's not even talk about Hitman Hearns. He destroyed him. Right? So what do we have? Suleiman, do you think Yard will let Tonde go? He should, but I doubt it because he's all about loyalty, right? There's no loyalty in boxing, man. That's stupid. You know? So I think he'll be like the other Anthony, adding people to the camp, paying them money that he doesn't need to pay them. Just for loyalty. No, he's been there since day one, you know? Do you think Loma lost a little of his invincibility last night? No, I just think he was challenged. But let's be real about something. Any fighter that's on an elite level, you can't stay at that elite level, but only so long. Okay? Like, you fight at this level, but Loma's what, 31? So 32, you'll see a little difference. 33, you'll see a little difference. 34, you'll see a little difference. 35. Now, there are little differences from each year, but if you compare a 35-year-old Loma to a 31-year-old Loma, you'll see a big difference. You see what I'm saying? Now, it won't change. It's like a gradual aging process. You might look in the mirror and you say, hey, I don't look that old. 5 years, if you just fast forward 5 years and then look in that mirror, then you can clearly see what has changed, okay? Boxing progression is the same way. Loma will not be able to fight like that. Oh, you know what? Let me stop. He's from the Ukraine. There's a possibility he could. Vladimir Klitschko did it, right? Well into his 40s, but we don't know. You know, so it's one of those things. But the thing is, maybe this might have been a whole cover-up to make you think that, hey, maybe he's lost it, maybe he's slow, and then, you know, and then Floyd jumps on him. You know what I mean? Oh, wow, Kong Skull Island, I heard that. They believe Duran in his prime would beat them both at lightweight. Wow. That's a bold statement. Old school 83 OG, Hearn and Ben would be epic. Epic. It would be epic. Absolutely. It would be. McCall King, glad you mentioned that. Said the same thing about Mike Tyson. Yeah. I think Loma will keep going and win, and winning most like Pac-Man. Well, here's the thing. He can only keep going if he only keeps growing. Candy Crush, listen to me. He can only show us that. Why do you think Manny and Floyd were able to fight so many fighters? Because they were ascending through weight classes, okay? They were moving up and up. They both got to 154 and shut it down because they're just small guys. Floyd's a small guy too. Manny Pacquiao's a smaller guy than Floyd, okay? These guys are small. They're not big. People think that they're big. They're not. These guys are fucking puny. They're really small. Lee Turton, morning. Floyd would beat Loma comfortably, in my opinion, especially at super featherweight. He was the greatest super featherweight I've ever seen, lightning fast. I don't know. I think it would be more of a fight like we saw. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think Floyd had anyone like Loma then, though. You see what I'm saying? That's the thing. He had fighters. He beat good fighters. But ask yourself this question. The people that he beat, were they anything like Lomachenko? Were they anything like Lomachenko right now? Diego Corrales, was he anything like Lomachenko? Sean Bay Mitchell, was he anything like Lomachenko? The only person that I seen technical that Floyd fought, he didn't fight any of the Cubans, you know, like Joel Casamayor. He didn't fight any of those guys, right? He fought Diego Corrales. He didn't fight Arcelino Freitas. He didn't fight him. He would have beat Freitas, though. I think it would have beat Freitas. Freitas was just heavy-handed. You know what I mean? Well, compare those guys to Lomachenko, and that's what you have. Do you think Diego Corrales would have beat Lomachenko? Heavy hands, dangerous. You know what I mean? That's the thing you ask yourself. Floyd didn't have a Lomachenko like that, especially with his pretty boy. And matter of fact, Floyd was the guy that was frozen out of a lot of fights. A lot of people don't know that. Floyd was at 130, okay? What did you have at 126? You had Prince Hassim Ahmed, you had Marco Antonio Barrera, you had Eric Morales, right? You had Marquez down there too. So you had all these guys at 122 and 126, and they were fighting and banging out. Kevin Kelly was back, Kevin Flash. Remember this guy back in the day? Been watching boxing a long time, man. But you had all these guys there, you know? And then you had 130. Well, 130 wasn't like the 20s. It wasn't. You didn't have those type of guys. So Floyd knew, I have to do something. I have to move down or I have to move up. When he wanted to move down, Bob Arum wouldn't let him. He wanted to fight Prince Hassim Ahmed. That fight didn't happen. He wanted to fight Eric Morales. He wanted to fight these guys, the Barreras. He wanted to fight these guys. but he was not allowed to. And that's when he really wanted to do it. Now, the silver lining of Floyd, the way he managed his career after that, he didn't give a shit about that. Because I think he was bitter. Because he was like, well, damn it, man, when I did want to fight these guys, those fights were frozen out. Those fights were not available for me. And even Harold Letterman was like, those guys are not going to fight you, Floyd. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what happened. They didn't fight him. None of those guys. You know, consider like, it wasn't because of size or any of that either, because Floyd started at 125. He started that way. You know? Sully, man, I think they are waiting for Crawford to retire. They don't want the smoke. PBC equals no smoke crew. Yep, that's it. I believe you. Phil Carl Roberts, great counterpunch. I agree. Floyd was that good with that defense. He was good with his defense. But I'm going to tell you about Floyd. Pretty boy Floyd got hit too, like Loma gets hit. So it's not like he was just this flawless guy. He didn't get real defensive until his hand started bothering him. And he knew, I can't hit people for fun anymore. I have to strategically use my hands, because if I don't, I'm going to fuck them up even more. If I'd hurt them in the ring and they're already damaged, I'm going to add insult to injury. So back to Loma. Loma gets hit like people, oh, he got caught this punch. Floyd did too, because Floyd let his hands go. He did let them go. He did the pull counters, the jab to the stomach. He had he had the great shoulder roll defense. He threw punches in bunches, and he really didn't waste a lot of punches, but neither does Loma, okay? So again, Pretty boy Floyd did not have that type of competition. And Loma even said it himself. He was like, I would love to have fought you, but you're past my time. But I'm not after you. I'm after your fighter. Stop protecting your fighter. And his name is Gervonta Tank Davis. The question is, does Floyd now have a change of heart? That's the question you ask yourself. Ahmed versus Kelly. Yep. Absolutely. 1997. Great fight. Multiple knockdowns. I think actually he should have gave Kevin Kelly a rematch. But they both went down. Great fight. And that's when Hamed came over here, right? The only thing that I hated about Floyd was the logic of, I don't have to fight fighter ZYZ. Yeah. If XYZ, if the beat a guy with Floyd had a fucked up way. He had a fucked up way of thinking, but again, I think that was coming from the bitterness that he had from being frozen and being avoided. Understand something, man. When Floyd was coming up, Floyd was overshadowed by so many different fighters to the point where he had to get himself away from Bob Arum. There was too many people there. It was so many people with Top Rank. Top Rank, Don King, those were the dominant promoters at the time, right? And Bob Arum, if you on HBO, right? So that's who you dealt with, Bob, Papa Bob. That's exactly who you dealt with in that case. He would get beat by Floyd. Only in America, Hyper Z. Floyd was hypnotized with hatred. J.R. Bell, what's good, Kurt? I feel that the 135 is Loma's limit. That was seen in the Linares fight. It's also why they want him to fight Tank Davis. I don't know. I can't believe that. Because see, here's my thing now. He's pound for pound. I understand Chocolatito. I understand what happened with him. But he was a much, much smaller guy. Much, much, much smaller guy. And here's my comparison. If Manny can do that and Floyd can do that, why? You see what I'm saying? Like, no, he'll never be able to fight Floyd Mayweather. Okay, time difference. We get it. But what he can do and what he should be or can do is challenge people like Floyd did, right? Fight the competition now. Go up to 140, fight these guys, you know? Manny filled out though. Manny filled out, yes, but you think Loma can't fill out? You think Loma would be slower at that weight class? You know? Loma hasn't. He's just as small. He's just as small as him. He took too much time in the amateurs. Yeah, he did. He did take too much time in the amateurs, I feel, but then that's who made him who he is. That's what gave him the reputation that he has. Lomachenko. Lomachenko is that guy. He was that guy that he didn't have to go pro, guys. He could have stayed an amateur, that like the great Cubans do, right? Like Mr. Stevenson, Senor Stevenson de Cuba. He could have been like him, right? And he decided to go pro. That's why I think one of the stipulations for Loma to go pro was his first fight, he wanted to be for a championship fight because he had such a vast amateur career, right? So that's what I think that was about. But I think, Loma, I don't think it was for money and things like that. Of course, he's a prize fighter and he makes money, but I think it was more so for him challenging himself on another platform, because it's a totally different thing when you're going from the amateurs to the professional rankings. But Usyk is going to be way smaller than everyone at heavyweight. Absolutely, Patrick Harry. Great counterpunch. See what I'm saying? If Usyk can do it, Floyd, Manny, why not Loma? Yeah, Leonard's fight. Okay, yeah, it woke him up. That means this shit's real. That means he shouldn't do stupid shit. He shouldn't get comfortable with these guys even though they're bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's a much more anticipated fight, just like when Roy went and fought John Ruiz. Remember that? But because he said it himself, Ruiz is a heavyweight. If he catches me wrong, I'm done. And that's true. Why is it true? Because he's a heavyweight. And what happened to Floyd when he went back to fight Tarver on the second fight? He got knocked out. So yes, that's a possibility for you losing and getting knocked out. But that's boxing, people. Okay? Loma is not exempt because he's small. Manny's small too. Floyd was small too. Usyk is small for a heavyweight also. Right? It is what it is. He should challenge himself. I think if he wants a true challenge, he should go up. And knowing the dangers of going up just should make him amplify his skills even that much more and depend on them and not make mistakes, because he knows that mistake at that weight class could be very dangerous for him. Plain and simple. Adrian Blair. Luke Campbell is one tough mofo. Other fighters' souls have quit. That's exactly right. He didn't want to quit. He got up from that damn liver shot. Leonardis didn't get up for that liver shot, did he? Right? And Leonardis beat him. So yeah, you're right. Great counterpunch. He is a tough mofo. Adrian Blair. Yeah, he would have. Very true. Usyk is taking the chance in most dangerous division. No excuse for Loma. Great point. Absolutely. Absolutely. I got to agree 100%. Philip Carl Roberts. I have watched Usyk beat Joyce fight at heavyweight over 5 rounds. Usyk can take a punch. And he won. Hey, we never said Usyk can't take a punch. It's just him getting punched by these bigger guys like that. This is the heavyweight division, people. This is the heavyweight division. These type of punches can end your night early. Can you believe Loma's reach is less than Manny's? Look it up. Yep. But it don't matter about reach. Those guys have athletic ability, right? Technique. Look what Loma was doing. Yes, he was shorter. He was hopping in and jabbing Campbell, right? He was doing some mongoose shit with him. He would jab in, jab, then jump back and get right into the position where he was. because he knew he didn't have the reach advantage. Then he started circling around, getting closer to Campbell. You know? Brilliant fight. Brilliant. Is the Shannon Briggs versus Usyk thing real? That's insane if true. Oh, man. I kind of don't want to watch that, though. You know, and I love Shannon Briggs, and I know he wants to get a fight, and I know he needs to support his family or whatever, but I don't want to see him fight Usyk. I want to see Shannon Briggs fight someone like Pulev, right? I would love to see that. You know, Pulev or I wanted to see him and David Haye get it on. Honestly, that would have been a good fight. Him and David Haye. Let's go, champ. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely. If you want to see Usyk Joyce fight the heavyweight, look this up. You know what? Inboxed it to me so I remember, and I definitely will take a look at it. Suleiman, David Haye would have glassed him. He glossed me. David Haye glossed me. I'm going to shoot you. David Haye. He fucking glossed me. It was crazy, man. That shit was remedial. You know? But it's karma, though. It is karma because, let's face it, Derek Chisora did some foul shit to a lot of people. He threw a chair at Dillian White. He spit in fucking Vitali's face. He smacked him. He did all types of bullshit like that, man, where he was a dangerous guy. He had the reputation of being that dude. So, yeah, you know, gloss him. Does Alexander Usyk have any opponent for his October 12th fight? Don't know yet. And that's kind of worrying me because, you know, I wanted that Takam fight. I really wanted that because Takam is, at least he's a known name, you know? Sataru 50. I don't think I ever forget that. I would never forget that, you know, because that, he glossed me. I mean, he was pissed. Oh, man. That was historic, man. Epic. That was an epic time. But no, man, back to Loma and Campbell, you know, and really round 5, Loma started landing those liver shots. He started getting close enough, and he was mid-range to deliver that liver shot. I call it the Chenko shot now, you know, or the Loma shot. The Loma shot right to the liver, right? I love that punch. And he landed it, and you got to give props to Campbell. He's a tough bastard. Lenatus went down with one of those fucking things. Boop. Lenatus was down. Lenatus didn't want to get up. He heard that dude counting. He didn't want to get up. You know what I mean? You can hear the ref counting, especially when you haven't got punched in the head or you don't hear ringing in your head. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what happens when somebody hits you really fucking hard in the head. So you hear some ringing, you know what I mean? That's near knockout status, right? But he got hit to the stomach. Lenatus went down. He waited to the 10th to get up. He was thinking about it, and he said, 9. Then he kind of got up knowing, okay, no, you're good, buddy. Let's call this a day. But Luke took like 3 or 4 of those fucking things. You know, he just, you know, booped over. He did a Sergey Kovalev, but he did fight, and he fought on for the next 7 rounds after that. And he had High Tech hurt. He had High Tech hurt in the 9th round. So the 9th round was very interesting because he caught Loma with some of those punches. And see, here's the thing. I think Loma at 135 feels those punches. It reminds me of Gotti when Gotti went to 140 to 147, and he was like, hey, these punches, they don't really feel good to me. I think I might go back down, right? Why did Loma let Campbell off the hook in round 11? I think he did. I think he wanted to have fun. I think he wanted to go the 12 rounds. I think so now. And, you know, if he would have just put Campbell away, he's done that. You know, I think he wanted to give a perception of his vulnerability, or he is beatable to somebody. Because as long as you look dominant, nobody ain't gonna want to fight you. You're too tough. Look at Golovkin when he was knocking people out. And then they threw the first quote unquote test at him, and that was David Lemieux. And look what he did to Lemieux. He peppered his ass with the jab. Peppered him with the jab, right? So, yeah, he's winding it up. Briggs would have probably preferred to spar Usyk. Yeah. But yeah, Lomachenko he's a guy that's still on top, and I think going down is not the right option. Because all he's doing, he's looking for a dancing partner. Whereas don't wait on one, go find one. You see what I'm saying? That's the whole thing. That's what you want in the sport of boxing. I'm tired of these, oh man, let's try to make this fight. Well, go out on your own and make your own fight. I am Usyk, I am Mad Man. I make funny face behind Bob Arum and everybody laugh. Yeah, he is a prankster. Usyk is a straight up gagster, right? But no, I think Loma wanted to end the fight, but I think when he got to the 12th, he was like, well, what's the difference? You know? If I didn't get him out in the 11th round when I put him down, I don't think this kid is going down anytime soon. So I think he just kind of stepped off the gas a little bit and let him do what he needed to do. You know, in his own country, didn't get knocked out or nothing like that. You know, so he had his own highlights. He did his own thing. He tried and he failed. It is what it is. That is the nature of the beast, people. So, yeah, he should. OmniSurge Media, he should be looking at that winner. Let's get some progression. You know what I'm saying? Usyk did that with Sky Sports Mike. You know? Yeah, Usyk's a trip. He is a trip. I can't wait to see him in heavyweight. That's what makes it so exciting about the sport of boxing. Okay? So, but I think Loma, he just needs to go up and test himself. Fuck the logic, you know what I mean? But he has to believe he can do it. Which fight would be more entertaining? Loma versus Teofimo or Loma versus... Oh, of course. Loma and Teofimo. That's a classic fight because they got bad blood. They got into it at hotels and shit. And I heard the whole story. It was quite messy, you know, because Loma wants to... because Teofimo wants to fight Loma. He wanted to fight Loma for a long time. So he calls them all kind of bitches and divas and this and that. So yeah, he's talking a lot of smack, you know. I would love to see that fight. But I would rather see Teofimo Lopez fight someone like Regis Prograis or Tank Davis, if Tank Davis properly moved up like he's supposed to, which I doubt it, you know. How many rounds did I give Loma? I gave Loma 9 rounds to 3 for Loma. Yeah. Dillian versus Usyk before the end of the winner gets to wait 600 days. Yeah, that would suck. That would suck bad. Loma versus Brown P. Yeah. That would be, yep, that would definitely be what it is. Dillian White versus Usyk, love to see. But yeah, Dillian White and Usyk, yeah, that would be a great fight. Dillian White and Usyk. One thing Broner can do is sell a fight. He can sell a fight. He can talk more shit than Jesse Jackson, but when he gets in the ring, he gets like shy boy. You know what I mean? But no, Loma should go up. Luke Campbell should stay where he's at, right? And rebuild himself. And but no, I think if Loma is great, like he says, he wants to test himself, he should go up. Because if you have that much skill, well, how much does size really matter? That's what you ask yourself. Yeah, he's gonna always be the small guy. But I think he would anyway if he was at 147. Lomachenko versus Ramirez, that would be a good fight. That would be a great fight, you know? But, you know, Loma regained, or should he say he is now the unified champion at the weight class, 135. And I look forward to him moving in the future, trying to get him the biggest fights. And I wish the same thing for everybody on the top ranked side of the street. Luke did good. He had heart. He did Candy Crush. Well, guys, I am wrapping up this live stream. You guys tell me what you think about Lomachenko. Everybody that joined, Candy Crush, Hyper Z, Omnisurge Media, Philip Carl Roberts, Phil Brown, Counterpunch to you guys, Patrick Carney, Greg Tucker. You know, you guys have all been counterpunched. Peace.